Are you looking to make more power on your S52?
Well, today we're going to be doing a deep dive on how to make more power reliably on an NA M5X based motor. So this part is going to be a little technical. If you're not interested in the technical jargon, basically this is going to be a set of cams, injector, tune, and MAF install on an S52. If you want to skip all the technical jargon, there's going to be timestamps down below. But if you're interested, we're going to be doing a deep dive on how to make power on an M50, M52, and an S52. Regardless, for what we're going to be doing today, let's start off with the more simple bolt-on mods. You can do the usual stereotypical 24-pound injector, 3.5-inch MAF, and a tune. There's a lot of conversation on if these mods actually make power, and to be honest with you, they don't. These are what modern turbo tuners call supporting mods. Injectors, you're not going to be maxing out a 21-pound injector on any M5X based motor. And MAF, you're not going to be maxing out a MAF on a 2.5 or a 2.8 motor. Once you get to an S52, you can max out a stock 3-inch MAF on an S52. But regardless, you're not going to magically make power just by upgrading to a 3.5-inch MAF and 24-pound injectors. To actually take advantage of stuff like this, you're going to need a set of camshafts. And for today's set of camshafts, we're going to be going with a set of Schrick 276 degree camshafts. There's a couple of different cams you can use to make power on an S52, stock pistons granted. You can either get these or you can get the set of Sunbelt 280 degree camshafts. There are also an option from Schrick for the Schrick 264, but frankly, do not waste your money on those. You're not going to make much, if any, power on those, maybe 10 horsepower. It's really not worth your money. Skip to the 276s if you can get your hands on them. These were co-developed with VAC about 15 years ago. They were out of stock, out of production for quite some time, but more recently, they've been producing a few batches to sell. So if they're in stock and you want to make some power on S52, these are the go-to cams. Granted, if you don't want to upgrade your pistons. If you want to upgrade your pistons and get a set of 4-inch pistons with a set of deep valve reliefs, you can go way bigger cams. But of course, you're going to be affecting the drivability of your car. If you want some street drivability in mind still, these are the cams to get. Anything bigger is really going to give you some street drivability issues. And of course, to actually have a healthy running engine, you are going to need a set of 24-pound injectors. These are the pencil style, still EV1 connector, but the more modern injector type. So these will actually have a better spray pattern than stock injectors that are currently on your M5X based motor. We have here a Euro/540 3.5-inch MAF. The actual sensor is the same, but the only difference is the housing. If you want to run a stock intake housing on an E36, you are going to need that Euro M3 MAF because the housing is different. If you don't care, you're going to run an aftermarket intake or something like that, a cheap 540 MAF will do. They're like 30 bucks on eBay all day, and you're going to need a silicone intake boot. I specifically needed one with 2 intake ports, so I went with the Beamer World one. It's simple, black, no fancy colors, just it'll look good in the engine bay. And no, giant logo lettering or anything. That's just a simple Beamer World stamp on that. To avoid some confusion, the Porsche MAF is what you're going to use for an OBD2 car, and the 800 Euro/540 MAF is what you use for an OBD1 car. They will both do the same job just fine, but plug and play solution, that's what you got to do if you're OBD1 or OBD2. The injectors, OBD1 or OBD2, same thing, doesn't matter, but of course you will need a tune. Here we have one from Castle Performance. This is for S52 3.2 Euro high flow MAF, 24-pound injector, Schrick 276 degree camshafts. So just what we need. I went with Castle because that's currently what's on the car, and I'm very happy with them. The car runs great. I've never had any weird drivability issues. I've never had weird cold start running issues, whether I'm in the mountains in Big Bear or here in the warmer climate of LA. Never had an issue. So I trust them. I'm going to go with them. This all kind of applies if you're on an S52. If you're on an M50 or an M52, there are also tuning routes that you can go. You can go with an S52 camshaft. If you're a 2.8, you already got the pink 21-pound injectors, so you're good to go. Hold on those cams. You don't need a MAF, you don't need an injector, good to go. If you're an M50, like I was in this car right here a couple years ago, I installed a set of S52 camshafts with timing suggested by Alien Engineering. He sells these funky timing blocks that can degree the cams however you want other than stock TDC timing. So that will effectively shift your power curve on the dyno graph. If you ever read a dyno graph, it's a line, goes up, and it shifts where your peak power is made basically once you adjust the degrees of timing, whether you advance it or you retard it. If you're on M50 though, and you want to install an S52 set of cams, there is some discussion and false information on the forums that they just drop in. They do not just drop in. You do need a set of M52, S52 cam trays and lifters. The lifters are the smaller style ones, so you'll actually reduce the weight of your valve train, and the actual trays themselves, the buckets if you want to say, the M50 ones, the cam lobes physically hit on the stock M50 cam trays. So if you're an M50, you more than likely will need to find a set of M52 trays and lifters. Make sure they have the matching caps, of course. If you're a very late M50, like a 95, later 95 production year M50, you might have a set of M52s already in there, M52 trays. But this is a 94, a late 94 production car. It had M50 trays, so just double check with what you're doing. It's very simple bolt on an M50 or M52. For S52, again, we have a much higher threshold, so we're gonna be maxing out this stock MAF. I mean, even in this car, this has a stock 3-inch MAF. With a tune, it's already maxing out the stock MAF with the 21-pound injectors. So 3.5-inch 540 MAF, Schrick 276 cams, 24-pound injectors is a supporting mod for this. You will not need MAF and injector on an M50 or M52 and a tune. If you're OBD2, again, same applies. Porsche MAF, same injectors, cams, but you can flash a tune via an OBD2 cable. And this one last part right here, kind of optional, but recommended in my opinion. This is a Vanos Shim. This basically reduces the travel of advanced timing the Vanos will be able to do. And that's important to us because we want to run the intake cam as advanced as we can go. If you're not going to run this, you will have to retard the intake cam 4 degrees so that you don't get piston to valve contact. If you do run this, you can run these cams at TDC, which means your cam will be more advanced than 4-degree retard, and you'll be making a little more power on the top end. So something to keep in mind. If you want to do a little more tinkering with your car, you can convert this to solid lifters and run the intake cam even more advanced of a degree. Keeping in mind, you should still use a Vanos Shim if you're stock pistons. You can run a 4 degrees advanced and most likely be okay, but always double check. If you're gonna run custom timing, always double check your piston to valve clearance. They sell a tool that bolts onto your Vanos housing. You can put compressed shop air into your Vanos housing, and it basically rotates the cam, advances the cam as if the engine was running, and you can manually rotate the engine by hand with a ratchet and whatnot. And just double check your timing that you are not having any piston to valve contact. I think that covers everything. Don't want to be rambling too much. What we got to do now is start disassembling the top end of the motor, valve cover off, take the cams off, drop these in, and then of course do all the other simple supporting mods. So let's go. So this isn't exactly going to be a 100% like step-by-step installation, how to do everything, how to install this, how to install that. This video will be just going over the basics and getting everything started from start to finish. If you do want a more tutorial-based video of how to quite literally do everything, I do have a video on such topic where I also discussed the Sunbelt 280 cams and how I didn't like them. That's actually what I originally had in this motor, but I had some valve train issues with that motor, so just a lot of noise in the head, so I decided not to go with those cams. I went back to stock S52 cams for this engine build. This engine has about 9,000 miles on it so far, so everything is all good, but I think now it's time that I've enjoyed it and I do want to go to something a little more powerful. The Schrick 276, it's going to give me same power as Sunbelt 280s, but much better power curve and without all the noisy valve train related issues that I was having with the Sunbelts. So I am E-fan converted. To make a little bit more room, I do have to take out my fan. You do have to take out your clutch fan and shroud if you are doing this job, but in my case, I'm a simple Volvo E-fan, so it's just one large unit, comes out pretty easily. And if you're an E34, look at that. All this room to work on the Vanos. And if you are doing a job like this, something like an electric ratchet is sometimes helpful for taking off covers and whatnot, but of course, do have a bunch of different trays just for keeping stuff organized. You don't want to lose where any of these nuts and bolts go. So what I have here is half of the Vanos unit. The other half of the Vanos unit is right here. You just take off a few hex bolts and you get left with basically the piston that moves in and out of the Vanos. You're gonna need just any vise will do. I've done this before. It's the same procedure as rebuilding a Vanos unit. What we're doing here is just, we're gonna be installing the shim just like that. We got it out. No scratches on any surfaces. And the trick to doing this, it's not reverse thread or anything, it's just normal thread, but you do have to take a socket and shave it. This is a 12-point socket, not ideal, it's all I had though. I just took 80 grit sandpaper, put this on a drill and just sort of held it on the 80 grit sandpaper until you can see it's a very flat, doesn't have that, I guess, concaveness. It's supposed to go on this side of the piston and go flat with this edge. So basically what happens is this shim right there, it limits the amount that the piston can travel. So that's really all it does. It gives you 4 degrees less travel of Vanos. All right, car's back together. It all went back in perfectly smooth. Checked the timing, rotated the engine a couple times, no issues. Put the tensioner back in, torque sequence, the valve cover, everything, you know. So I'm gonna take out the fuel pump fuse. Okay. We're gonna crank over the engine a few times just to build up some oil pressure, listen for any funny noises, I guess. Hopefully not. We should have 0 types of funny noises, so a little nervous. Oil pressure light went away, so we can put back on our coil packs. Huh. Okay. good, honestly. No oil. All right, everything's good. Time for injectors and tune. All right, now we gotta resort our attention to the DME box. We gotta put our Castle chip tune in here, so. £24 injector, Castle tune, intake, setup, MAF, everything. It's all plugged in. No leaks. Everything is good. Damn, it's idling really good, actually. You can see there, no leaks. All the injectors are dry. Four zip ties. Trust me, the fan ain't going anywhere. Do not worry about it. As you can hear, the idle speed is a little, you know, boo, 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 kind of lumpy, but it's not unstable or anything like that. I do like it. I can feel it in the car, the idle, but it's not like a lumpy idle. It's a little bit of a smooth kind of, you know, smooth cam idle. You know, I am ever so slightly a little nervous. It's been running for this long and idling for this long. It should be all right, I'm assuming. Just gonna take a little lap around the block just to get the engine a little warmed up. I hope the audio is good. I hope you don't hear the leather squeaking or anything like that. You know, initial impression, actually, I do notice a big smoothness increase on partial throttle. I think that just has to do something with the injectors. They're much more modern injectors. They flow better. They have better spray atomization pattern, however you want to call it, whatever the technical term for that is. Intake sounds pretty good. Give a little second. Oh yeah. Catches idle super nice too. Let's do a little pull here. Oh yeah. Oh my god, that feels awesome. That feels awesome. Has some low end torque still. It lost a little bit, but it's not like a pain in the ass to drive. Has more mid-range, I think, at least as much as stock, if not more, and tons of peak power. Like, it really pulls straight to 7. I'm actually pretty impressed by that. Let's see. Oh yeah, it catches idle just perfectly. The tune from, I was looking at some info logs. I had this plugged in just while idling in the garage. It is raised a little bit, raised to 840 RPMs. Not something I would have done immediately, but the car feels butter smooth while sitting here at idle, and it catches idle perfectly. So I assume that helps a lot with that. It really doesn't even dip to a factory idle, so I'm very happy with that. Yeah, that is butter. Oop. I still got my track pads on, so it squeaks a little bit. In my opinion, this is really how they should have came from the factory in S52. I mean, these cams aren't dangerous to run. The power is still there. It's got more of a M power band, I would say. Very peaky and pulley up top. So I do like that. Also not without being, you know, a total slug like an S54 or an S65, kind of, you know, down low, it's an utter slug and just bogs and bucks everywhere. This still drives pretty smooth even before the power picks up. Turn on the AC a little bit, it's getting warm in here. Also, one thing that I noticed too, this, you know, I didn't have a burble tune on the car or anything, but this car did used to kind of pop and, you know, natural burble down to idle when you were just coasting in second gear, for example. It would kind of go boom, 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 you know. It doesn't really do that anymore. If I give it a, yeah, it doesn't kind of pop. It used to kind of pop at like 1500 RPM if I gave it some revs. It doesn't do that anymore. Very nice. And would you look at that, 274, 200, exactly on the dot. High mileage car, everyone. High mileage car. So, where does that leave us as a conclusion? Is it worth it? What should you do? Honestly, 100% worth it. If you're gonna do the Schrick 276s, it drastically improves the power of this car. You do lose a little bit of low end, so driving around city and towns and whatnot, you might feel it a little bit, but it does not feel like an utter drag to drive. It still has a bunch of power and it really pulls all the way to redline. As comparison to stock cams, you do notice a big drop off close to limiter at around 7K. So not only do you pick up a bunch of power, but you keep pulling all the way to redline, which is a bunch of fun driving around. One thing I want to note that a lot of people don't really instantly think about, but these injectors, the newest style injectors, they do drastically improve the responsiveness and running conditions of the car. I do notice a much smoother idle from these injectors. Even though this still has a slight cam idle in comparison to before, the smoothness of the idle is a lot more consistent and partial throttle response is insanely improved. Even though we lose a little bit of low end power, the injectors just make the throttle response a lot sharper, a lot better, and just make the overall running condition feeling a lot better while driving this car around. The next thing that I would recommend to do is one, install an oil cooler. 100% if you're gonna install bigger cams like this, you need an oil cooler. You are gonna run the engine a little bit warmer than before just because you have bigger camshafts, and especially if you're gonna go hard driving like on a canyon or on the track, this engine will already overheat the oil on track, but if you're gonna have bigger cams, 1000% you're gonna overheat the oil much, much faster than I was overheating this oil on track. Post editor's note, forgot to mention the second thing that you should do. Headers, 100% essential if you want to use all the flow that you can from your cams. If you want to pick up a little bit of low to mid-range torque, you can go with a set of shorty headers, Turner, Schmiedman, they'll do the job, and on E36 there'll be a direct bolt-on installation. Or if you want to pick up a bunch of top-end power but don't mind a little bit of a dip in the mid-range, you can go with a set of long tube headers. A lot more fabrication is required for this installation, but that just comes down to personal preference, whatever you decide to go with. And overall, I'd say I'm pretty happy with everything. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Until the next one, guys.